Well,
Another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour.
absolutely. And then it is now including a special guest for a first ever interview,
Yes.
which is also super exciting.
So Tommy Brunett's here from the Iron Smoke Distillery. How's it going?
Great.
Good. So we wanted to really sit down and talk with you around how you really started the distillery. I know that you have quite a past too of musical talent and stuff too that we want to touch on. So thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the
Absolutely.
first hopping to cherry.
Absolutely.
The whiskey cherry.
Yeah. Have you done podcasts before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. There's a couple. A lot of radio stuff.
Yeah. Sure. So before we really get into the distillery, can you tell us a little bit about your past and your musical abilities?
Well, I was born and raised in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
Moved around a lot. My first big break, I played like in a lot of bands. I always tell people I've been pulling the wool over people's ears for a long time. But I lucked out and got my first big break was being the touring guitar player for Modern English. And they had a hit with I'll Stop the World and Not With You.
Nice.
But that was like literally I was eating half a Snickers bar for breakfast, and then the other half with some combos for lunch, and then at night I'd eat the other half of the combo pack because I knew that filled me up.
Right.
You know, and I was making a record that I didn't like with some people I didn't like, and I got the call to audition, and I went to New York City, and I walked in David Bowie's rehearsing down the hallway, and
that's
Yoko
sweet.
Ono's in the
Come
kitchen
on.
with her son, and I was like, Tommy, don't blow this. This is the way, they say you get a chance and this is it.
Right.
And I went in and I got the gig, and like 10 days later I was on a Tonight show, 30,000 people a night, some places,
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that's what I saw. You were on Conan, right? You said?
Yeah. And then I
that's
was
sweet.
played on, my new band, Tommy Brunett Band's kind of tied in with the DNA of Iron Smoke because I'm the face of the brand, and for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And so we do like Johnny Cash meets rock, and it's a Tommy Brunett band, and we
Cool.
open up for bands like ZZ Top, George Thorogood, like we talked about this summer. We
Yep.
play with him, and Charlie Daniels, all this stuff that goes great with whiskey. And I get up there, and tonight you'll be healed by the powers of rock and roll and whiskey. Can I get an amen, brothers and sisters? I got my Iron Smoke guitar with Scully, who's this guy, Scully with the pipe. He's called him the most interesting dead guy. And he's kind of like a Clint Eastwood character. But we build the whole brand about, like when we're doing a partnership or we're building an addition on like our tasting room, we kind of check ourselves and go, what would Scully think? Because he's not impressed with a lot. And he's, so we're like, no, we're not going to do the old Prohibition thing with the red light with the doorbell in the alleyway. It's been done, and I don't think Scully would think it was cool,
Right. That's really cool.
So we went for Victorian.
Yeah, did the distillery come before the band, or did the band come before the distillery?
The band was well before the distillery.
Okay.
I came up with this in 2011 in the backyard, smoking ribs
Nice.
and drinking whiskey, getting my swerve on,
Sweet.
around the chores around the backyard. And I was like, let's put two great American pastimes together. What about barbecue smoke and Great American Whiskey, Great American Barbecue, and see if we can make it work. And we experimented in the backyard. Then we moved on to a still in the Finger Lakes and came out with our first batch and sold out in like a week and a half. And then we had to build this place. And we were in the Old American Can Factory in Fairport, New York. And it's along the Erie Canals and the railroad tracks. And this is, we needed high ceilings and cheap rent.
Sure.
So we moved in here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet.
No kidding. So did you go to school for distilling, or was it all like
No.
make your own homemade kits?
I didn't even know. We did it. This is the funny part too. We didn't do it because brown spirits were happening. Because it wasn't in 2011. It was all like vodka, like tobacco flavored, bubblegum flavored, like whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't go into school. I didn't know that whiskey was brown because of the aging in the barrels with the char. And now I know a lot. But the joke is like, I used to love drinking it a lot. I knew that. I knew how to drink it.
Sure.
But I didn't know how to really make it. And then kind of trial by fire learning. And then our distiller, Drew, I met him. He changed my life.
Yeah.
Drew Westcott is our master distiller. And he, everything outside of the wall over here is like his thing. He's part engineer, part chemist, part electrician. You got to have all that
everything
going for you.
Cool. So what made you choose this location then for, can you just tell everybody really where we're located right now?
Yeah, we're in Fairport, New York.
Okay. Which is just right outside of Rochester.
Yeah, and it's the only reason, like I said, is cheap rent and high ceilings.
Yeah.
We were looking downtown and we saw a lot of spaces, but we wanted to have our own storage for our grain.
Sure.
So there's 70 tons of grain storage out front. We wanted to make sure we had a hammer mill because we're crushing the grains fresh, and as you know, it's a really important piece of the puzzle
Right.
because you want to have fresh grain. It's kind of like having a cup of Sanka or a cup of fresh ground coffee. Like
Sure.
you want the French press.
Right.
You don't want something that's like stir it up and mix it up. And
Yeah, that
Right.
instant coffee.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's why we're winning so many awards.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So can you talk about the awards that you've won too?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have, and also the whiskey that you're putting out, because there's a couple different whiskeys that you're putting out right now.
Yeah. Our flagships, they're smoked straight bourbon whiskey, and that's where it all started.
Okay.
It's lightly smoked, and it's straight bourbon because it's over 2 years aged, in triple char oak barrels, virgin white American white oak barrels, and so that's our flagship project, and this really put us on the map with the people that were really connoisseurs, and that's when we started getting bootlegged in like London. We're on the shelves,
Sure.
but we're not in London, but you can buy it in a lot of weird stores that they bring it in,
That's awesome.
probably illegally. but dude, this is what happened. We sent it into the whiskey Bible because you have to do that.
Sure.
It's like out of 4,600 distilleries that enter, everybody from Buffalo Trace to Jim Beam to anyone in all over the world. And this guy Jim Murray, whatever he says is cool, is cool. We ended up getting a 95.5 rating, and it was
Wow.
the top 6% of all those distilleries. So we scored higher than Basil Hayden, Bullet, Buffalo Trace,
Wow.
other ones that we love. And we always be careful. Like, we're not saying we're better. This guy said we're better.
Sure.
Tasting. And then this year, Forbes magazine named us top 10 distilleries beyond Kentucky.
Wow.
So that was pretty big.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge for a little farm distillery with a group of people that's very DIY punk rock ethic.
Right.
And everything is made here, and we don't put any filler in from anywhere else. And we're a New York State farm distillery, and you can use so much of other stuff outsourced, but we try and get everything within like a 50-mile radius. Our farmers are in Walworth,
Yeah.
They come, we know them, and we take our spent mash greens and give them to them to feed their livestock.
Sure.
But so this is, you want to go through the products real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that'd
for
be
sure.
great.
The Iron Smoke Straight Bourbon, everything's hand-signed, labeled, Scully's on there. And it's super smooth. It's a 4-grain bourbon mash bill. If you want to geek out, we can a little bit, but it's 56% corn, heavily wheated, because we like the Pappies and the Bernheims sweet and smooth.
Sure.
And then a little bit of barley and a little bit of rye to give it an interesting thing. We like the rye, but that's
Yep.
where you get your spice from. And then this is our cask strength, what we call it casket strength, because of Scully. It's 120 proof.
It's clever.
Yeah, unfiltered, and it's pretty awesome, man. It's like it came out so good.
Yeah.
And people that are whiskey, connoisseurs, they like to have it where they put their own water in or ice cube in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just really delicious and full of flavor. And then because the Iron Smoke sold out all the time, we came out with Rattlesnake Rosies, and that's like my friend Trey, my wife's hand, Sarah Rutherford, a local artist, worked with me, and Corey, one of the designers that I use. It's fresh apple cider, no preservatives, vanilla, brown sugar, and steeped in a big vat of cinnamon sticks. And you got to shake the snake on the top because it's unfiltered, so it kind of settles, but you can drink it without shaking it up, but it's just a good thing to do. And then this one's, my favorite thing about this is my master distiller, Drew, was making this illegally in high school, and we just made it legal. All the farmers knew about Drew's apple pie.
That's cool.
No kidding.
So when we came out with it, they're like, I'll be damned. Drew's guys, it's legal. And we always say we're like making Bibles. No, we're not making Bibles. We're making whiskey. So you got to have fun along the way. And then we came out with this at the end of the last year, Rattlesnake Roses maple bacon, perfect for pancakes.
Nice.
Says on the back. And it's Lulu the pig. And we're gonna make Lulu famous.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's our products. We have a barrel program that we do for our high-end accounts where we'll pick 20 barrels. Drew will pick 20 barrels that he likes. Then they come in and pick the one barrel they like Whole Foods in New Jersey and Total Wines and More in Florida, or Century here, or Buffalo's got one. in one of their stores, and so that's just they pick the barrel, single barrel release, only available in that location, and we take it out of the barrel, put it in bottles, and send them the keg and their bottles and cases.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's
We got 50 mils that just came out, which we're really excited about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, little airplane bottles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Little airplane
Little
bottles.
sneaker
That's all you
deepers.
need.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys have any reservations when you scored your first 95 plus score where you're like, now we have to replicate it all the time?
No,
Like, was that ever a fear?
no, because it wasn't. We should have been scared shitless. You know, like
Yeah.
Right, yeah, because now you're getting all
because
this
we should have been
notoriety.
like, oh, now we raised the bar. But now we win every competition we're in. Our master distiller Drew and our whole group that we work with is so amazing that we're up for the challenge of making it. And that's the thing too. We're part of the New York State Distillers Guild, and all we can tell our brothers and sisters out there making the whiskey is everybody's got to make the best they can
Right.
and put New York on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really very, very, very particular about what goes in the bottle.
Yeah.
It was all Kentucky Vendome stills, and we always take the hard road and the more expensive road. But
Yeah.
we're still here.
Yeah, you got to pay to play right. So, so what kind of gave you the flavor profile that you want in here? I know that from just looking on the website, there is some sort of apple taste to it.
Well, the Applewood smoked whiskey, we wanted to make it smoother, like an all-day, everyday kind of whiskey that
Sure.
I think even if you don't like bourbons or whiskeys, you can drink ours because it's double distilled, it's pretty smooth, it's really tasty, a little more on the sweet end, and it's got a really interesting finish with we call it a puff of smoke at the end. And then the apple cider from New York. We try and figure stuff out, like even the maple bacon has maple syrup, grade A maple syrup from Menden Farms right around
Okay.
here. We're trying to highlight a lot of stuff that's from around
Right.
here. Yeah.
That's awesome. Whereabouts can you buy your product? I know that you said kind of in London and everywhere, but is there specific areas?
Yeah, that's an oddball
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
We're in 7 states right now.
Okay.
You know, if you're listening in New Jersey or Florida, Tonal Wines and More has all those in stock in most of their stores. New York's really doing well. We're even in Nashville. We're in
Okay.
Tennessee and Kentucky, which is that was a tough
Huge.
sell.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was the guy that had to go. I was like, I'm the Johnny Appleseed guy. And I was walking, I almost got my ass kicked going in his faces. It's like, you're making whiskey?
Yeah,
you know, like,
right.
and we're like, yeah, it's from New York. It's like, get out of here, you know? I'm like, just try it, man. How do you think I feel? Like, this is good.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn. You know, and it was
Awesome.
so we're embraced in different parts of the country, and we were supposed to add Texas and Illinois, and we didn't do it because Florida's doing so well right now.
Okay, cool. Great.
So
We're-
logistically, it would have been a challenge if you did pick up those two
Yeah,
states?
Well, Tom Riggio, the president of the company, is he's very successful at building brands, and he keeps us focused on building a brand and not just selling boxes. Like if a major store comes in and says you got to drop your price by 10% and we'll put you in all our stores, that's not what we're looking for. And he's got a saying, a mile deep, not a mile wide.
Sure.
You know, so
sure,
that's
good
what we're
saying,
doing.
yeah.
It's like, because you just lose so much focus when you open a state, because then you got to go to all the sales meetings. You got to go put all your energy and money and most importantly time. You know.
So talking about brand a little bit, what made you choose Iron Smoke as the brand for your whiskey?
Oh,
And
the name?
company is in general, yeah.
It's a weird story.
We love
I
weird
got
We got
weird
time.
stories. I'm like,
We got
sure.
time.
well, Iron Smoke was a fake management name for
Okay.
I didn't have a manager for a while for my music,
Sure.
and I used to call up like people going, hey, this is John Timmons from Iron Smoke Management. I want to talk to you about Town of Brunett playing your festival down there. You know, we'd really like to talk. And then they'd be like, it's kind of like, Tommy, I know it's you. It's like, oh, I got to go. It was amazing. And then when I literally had the funding, the concept, and Iron Smoke, the name, all in like 45 minutes. It was
Oh, wow.
whacked. Yeah, and the river's just been taking us that way. But
Sure.
a good friend, an old friend of mine, Steve Brown, was the first to invest in it and be my partner, my business partner. When he heard of the idea, he said, is there any competition for smoked whiskey out there? And I found out there's Corsair and Blanton's. No, not Blanton's. Balcones. Balcones was the one, and they were really heavily smoked. And so there wasn't a lot of competition. And
Sure.
it was whacked. It's
Yeah.
like going, I knew it was weird because I knew right then my life would change for some reason. You know, if something happens to you, like you meet somebody or something happened, you get an opportunity, and you're like, this is going to change my life, and
Absolutely.
it did.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, we love
Absolutely.
hearing about those stories. So
Yeah,
All about it.
yeah. So
yeah. So when we were talking to the bartender over there too, we heard them say that you use you send some of your barrels to different breweries for them to finish some of their beers in.
oh yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's really interesting.
Yeah,
too.
they wait for them to be emptied,
That's
and
awesome.
they take them, and it adds a really cool vanilla note. And they win a lot of competitions. Three Heads did locally. We do a lot of local. Like we did black IPA aged in our barrels with Genesee Brewery,
Okay.
Okay.
and
Cool.
they've been good to my band and good to us. And have you interviewed Dean yet?
No, we haven't.
He's a character. You should
Oh.
talk to Dean.
Yeah.
He's
All
a
right,
nut.
we'll do.
He's
We'll
a
mark
good in a
that
good
down.
way. Dean,
Yeah.
good guy, good nut. But he's
Yeah.
very he's like the Grand Poobah
Oh,
of
cool.
those guys, and he does all the smaller stuff at North American breweries in the Jenny Brew
Okay.
House there.
Yeah.
And then we could get them back from the guys, and even smaller ones. The K2, there's another one that opened up around Irondequoit brewery, and then we get them back and we sell them to people for their man caves and
Sure.
furniture and stuff. So
We were talking about
It's
that
always
too.
rotate.
We right now we got a folding table in my basement recording the actual podcast because Bill's Mafia jumping through Bill's tables and everything like that. But we were thinking about getting a barrel coming up just to put as our table, as our centerpiece. So
Oh, that'd be
we'll
awesome.
keep that in mind.
yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
We've got 2 barrels out there for the Buffalo Bills when they win the Super
Oh,
Bowl.
cool. Oh, nice.
We have
Perfect.
ties to the Bills, and we actually filled them up 2016 when some of the trainers came in and stuff, and we put 2 up for the Buffalo Bills, and it's like there's the logo on them, and when they win the Super Bowl, it's theirs.
Nice.
That's
But,
amazing.
Yeah, people get picked on for it.
Yeah. for
They
sure.
keep us humble,
Right.
you know.
Absolutely.
But we're having a party today to celebrate the 4-1, so we're doing like 4. Whatever you buy in our tasting room, after you reach 4, you get the next one free.
Okay,
so
cool.
Drink or T-shirts or whatever.
Will that continue in a couple weeks when we're 5-1?
I don't know. Yeah, why not? Go 10 and
cool.
you know,
Yeah, really.
get 12 and 1.
Exactly.
We'll keep going.
Yeah, we'll just keep racking them
That's
up.
awesome.
Yeah, that's to our advantage though. So
For
go
sure.
Bills.
Yep. Yeah. Go
Yeah.
Bills.
Yeah.
Constantly. The one of the first distilleries that we actually worked with was Buffalo Distilling Co. for their 1 foot cock whiskey, and they did the same thing. They have a barrel for the Bills and for the Sabres
Oh, no kidding.
when each team wins their respective championship.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's I don't know if Buffalo will stay standing if the Bills and the Sabres win in the same year. I think we'd burn the city
Can you
down.
imagine?
But
What a
yeah,
party that would be.
yeah,
Right.
well, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the
that's,
Sabres are looking really good too.
Yeah, they are.
they are. They're actually, what are we, undefeated at?
4-1, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a hockey nut.
Are
Are you
I
really?
grew, I grew up playing hockey.
Big Sabres fan, or
Yeah.
do you have other fans?
Yeah. Well, when I
teams?
was little, it was like, I'm old, fart and dust, but dog ears, I'm dead. But, you know, but 10 I used to love the Boston Bruins and Bobby Orr, and then
That's my team.
yeah.
Love the Bruins.
So I was a Bruins fan when I was little, and Chicago Blackhawks because
Okay.
I had friends that had them. But I love playing hockey.
Sure.
I still love watching it. I think it's the most exciting sport to watch.
Yeah. Did you grow up in the area?
Yeah, I
Rochester?
grew up in Rochester
Okay.
and moved away. Lived in New York City for a while. I started a marketing company. It's my whole life sounds like a fish story, but I had this big radio show, and then White Stripes were one of our guests, and then they got signed to V2, and I started doing their marketing on campus because it was college radio,
Okay.
and we built it up to like 3.2 million listeners.
Wow.
It was crazy because all of a sudden the internet was just kind of coming up where, you know, it was like the wild frontier, and they could broadcast on the
Sure.
radio, on internet. So we worked with them, then we worked with Kid Rock, then we ended up working for everyone in the music world, and then I ended up doing stuff for PBS, TBS.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Hey, there's Rob from Junkyard Field Trip.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Thanks. You can put it on the table. Whatever. So his band, Junkyard Field Trip's amazing.
Yeah.
Are you guys sticking around? Okay. All right. Because I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and whenever you want to end, we can.
Yeah, we can wrap it up soon.
Wanted to
Okay.
talk too about you were telling us just a little bit that you're going to do some expanding. Is
Yeah,
that
we're
true? Yeah.
we're about to double production.
Wow.
We've got 2,100 21,000 square feet here.
Wow.
And so I'll show you around. But we just got 4 new fermenters. We're getting a bottling line that's on order. we're getting another still next week, and we're running 2 shifts right now.
Wow. Are you having trouble aging some of your whiskey because it's going so quickly? Is that why
No,
you're,
we're in a good spot, but
Cool.
with whiskey, it's not like it comes out of the faucet. It's like vodka.
Right, yeah.
You gotta age it, so you gotta do projections for 3 to 5 years out,
Sure.
and just controlled, steady growth is
Right.
what we're trying to do. And but we do need to put more up, so we're like, okay, we got some
Yeah.
other stuff coming out too that we're excited about.
Cool. Anything you can give a little
Not right
taste
now.
to?
It's just
Yeah.
like we're putting some stuff up that's. I'll tell you
Yeah.
next time maybe.
Sure. Sounds
know?
good. Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that's the story.
Yeah.
We're excited to be expanding. We go by the philosophy my grandpa Joe told me a long time ago. It's not who wants to sleep with you once, it's who wants to sleep with you again. So make it count the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're trying to make it count.
That's all.
Make
That's
sure
a good
it
phrase.
tastes good,
Yeah,
and it's
for
in the
sure.
bottle, and it looks cool on the shelf.
Right.
And if we don't put anything else. We have a methodology of like we have a 0 asshole policy for our company, which we go even over here in our tasting room, and that's a brand extension. And we also have like there's a lot of different things to our branding, but we want to make sure if we put something out, it's good enough to steal. Like
Yeah, really.
like you'd go to jail for I'm gonna steal that. And then come visit us. If you're listening out there, and we're in Fairport, New York. We're outside of Rochester. It's not far from the Thruway. We've got a dynamite tasting room.
Yeah.
That's a brand extension, and we've got a great gift shop, and it's Victorian, bound out Victorian looking, custom made bar, gasolier from 1870s. All the stuff's originally from 1870s.
Oh, cool.
And we have a full bar, and we have a concert room.
Yeah.
You saw it called a sideshow. We do everything from, we produce our own burlesque show with some awesome burlesque troops. And we also do, like, last night was Latin, the night before was Lipker Sisters.
Sweet.
There were
Wow.
3 girls from Geneva that sing, like, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy,
Nice.
that kind of stuff. Just trying to keep it, then we'll have an AC/DC Guns N' Roses cover band. you
Sure.
know?
Right.
Do you fill up the sideshow a lot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been, we're running close to capacity on weekends most of the time,
Cool.
which has been a real blessing.
Yeah, for sure.
For our business, and people it's cool because when you come in, there's a lot of different places to sit, little, areas.
Yeah.
And if you look, even when you go out there when we're done, you'll see no one's on the cell phones. We don't have a cell phone policy, but people come in and have a proper cocktail and a good old conversation.
Right.
Which I think is a super win for us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No TVs in there. We can watch the game somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'll sneak in here and catch the scores.
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's cool.
we're trying to keep to making sure Scully thinks it's cool.
Yeah. That's a good business model to live by. I like that.
Yeah.
It definitely shows too, because when you come in, that's a natural feel. Like you just kind of want to sit down and relax. I actually made that comment to Derek, where I was looking at him, and there was about 3 minutes of no conversation at all. And he goes, "Are you good, dude?" And I'm like, "I'm so relaxed." And you just,
Good.
you just like, you come in, you enjoy it. I mean, the products are phenomenal,
Yeah.
and then you just get to calm down and
Yeah.
just get away from the world and just
Hot
relax.
dog and a whiskey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The relaxing could have been from the whiskey we had too.
Yeah.
So we have a segment in our show that we like to touch on. We know that whiskey can be an intimidating drink to order, especially for people who are just trying to find out about
Yeah.
whiskey. So we have a section in our show that we like to dedicate to our guests, or even Mike and I, talking about cocktails that we prefer, just to kind of get people involved in what whiskey is and maybe a good cocktail to try. Do you have a specific cocktail that would be your go-to when you were younger, when you tried?
Well, when I was younger, it just like there wasn't like this, Pappy and all. It was just Jack Daniels,
Right, sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it was cool because Skinner drank it and stuff, and all these rock stars like Slash. But I think the best way is kind of try and figure out what you really like, and you can try a little bit different stuff and pay attention to what goes in it, and the mash bill, which is their recipe, and how it's created. And you can really dive in pretty hard, even on the internet. But I would go for just tasting it pure. Like, don't add anything at first, so you kind of can get that pure,
Sure.
what it tastes like. And the taste profile is a little bit different. If you like hotter stuff, try rye or more spice. And if you don't, go with something with a little bit more like weeded
Sure.
whiskeys. And my go-to is usually, we get the Peacemaker. That's 2 parts smoke and 1 part roses that we make. And
Yeah.
kick your ass, but it's really delicious. And plus, it's got both of our products or the sell thing. But and then you did the orange peel around the outside and put some bitters in there, and your couple of those, it's like drinking martinis.
Yeah.
And then, but try it. I love an old fashioned,
Yeah.
And there's
My
two
man.
different ones. There's the old fashioned, that's the old school style, that's not very sweet.
Sure.
And there's some that's muddled and everything else. And I think that's a good go-to. And you look cool, order it. I love an
For
old
sure.
fashioned.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I love Manhattans.
Yep.
Make sure you check your vermouth.
Yeah.
Because I have an Antigua vermouth is amazing.
Yeah.
Change your life. And the walnut bitters from Fee Brothers, that's the way to make a Manhattan.
Okay. Cool.
Sing, And then there's other ones, like my grandpa Joe, like he did a Boilermakers.
Yeah.
And
right.
I think that's, shot in a beer is I think that's, you go in and order it, I'll have a Jenny, I'll have a red eye, on your smoke.
Yeah.
Little side project there, see.
Everyone's staring at you. You're over in the corner.
Yeah, so yeah. But I think that covers, what I would, and sometimes you offer tastings at different places. You can try it like a beer. You just try a little bit, see if you can get,
Sure.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So what type of bourbon that you put out would be your favorite? Between those two that you have right there, like if we were to buy one today, what would be your go-to?
I would get the casket strength because,
Cask strength, okay.
yeah, they're very limited.
Sure.
It's a limited item. It's hard to find, and it tastes delicious, and it's not filtered. So you can get your own, put spring water in if you want to, or something that doesn't have anything in it.
Sure.
Or a nice thick ice cube,
Sure.
and just let it kind of settle in. And then this is the all day, every day. Come home after work, kick back.
Sure.
Something on the rock. I like it on the rocks.
Yep.
Call them speed bumps, to slow it down a little bit. But the real way to do it,
I like that.
yeah, well, but neat is the best way to order it. If the proper way to order it usually is
Sure,
like,
yeah.
I'll take one neat.
Mhm.
And you're like, well, this guy's cool.
Yeah, this guy's cool.
Yeah, this guy knows what's going on.
But I don't really give a shit about this stuff, so I'll have it like on the rocks.
Right, yeah.
But,
Cool. And the cask strength, or casket strength, sorry, you're at batch 2, right?
yeah,
So
batch
it's
2.
relatively new?
Yeah, that's batch 1 right here.
Oh, cool.
And then I'll get you guys a sample of everything out
Okay,
there.
cool.
So we'll do a tasting with
Sure.
Amanda.
Awesome.
And but it's just everything. I love everything. Like my wife, the go-to before we go out on a date night is the apple pie.
Apple pie, yeah.
And it's 70 proof, and it's delicious. It'll make your socks roll up and down. It's so good. It's really amazing. When people taste it, people used to like moonshine, and we're like, no,
Yeah.
this is artisan crafted. It's our corn whiskey that we make here, and all different natural products.
Right.
Cool. Awesome.
Good deal.
Yeah, so that can really conclude this interview. We, again, really appreciate your time. Thanks
for
so
ha-
much for letting us come down here and talk with you.
Thanks for traveling on the thruway and seeing us.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
The 90, it's not that far of a drive, so we'll be back.
No, it's not. It's just it's just that straight shot.
Yeah.
It's like there's this most
So
boring
boring.
road, but,
Sure.
but you're there before you know it.
Right, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we're close.
I love Buffalo, man.
Yeah.
Any chance to get down there, I do it, and I love the Bills games, and
Mhm.
I love that city. It's a dangerous city.
Yeah.
You guys know how to party.
Yep, oh yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Well, if you're ever in the area, let us know. We'll meet up for some whiskey.
I'll definitely do it. Tim from he's got the Lucky Day.
Okay, yeah.
He got Ballyhoo. He's a friend. I went there. They got a great collection. You can get our stuff there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good
But
to
so
know.
online, just go if you're looking for our stuff, go online, ironsmokedistillery.com, and it's got a map, and just punch your zip code in.
Oh, cool.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Good
for
deal.
sure.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks.